Welcome to the Breakaway show. We have a special guest here today, the man, the legend, Sully. Say and Cam are back from an epic week, literally. And we're going to be breaking that down in a great level of detail with a little bit of a San Remo cover. So this is your disclaimer. If you have no interest in the epic, you don't like mountain biking, leave now because it's about to get deep, it's about to get dirty, it's about to get emotional. So guys, if you wouldn't mind just quickly introducing yourself and the role you played at Epic, and we can jump into it. It's
a long week. I was a cameraman shooting video for the Epic series, back of a motorbike, and got to spend some time with Cam out there. Saw Sarah quite a bit as well, so that was my role. A long week, tiring week for everyone, whether you're crew or rider. I'm sure it's quite intense, but yeah. It was a good one.
Yeah, you're the man behind the lens. It's amazing.
literally.
So I'm Sarah Maré. This year I raced Epic in the mixed category. Unfortunately, I did not finish, but I have plenty war stories to share.
I'm Cam Roach, and I also rode this year. Managed to get it to Paris and get it across the line. So we were there. It was incredible.
That is the most modest introduction ever for someone who came in the top 40.
In the second Epic as well.
Yeah.
Not bad.
Nice. Keep it humble, Cam. That's why you're the people's champion.
Sorry, I just want to add quickly, Sully's obviously joined us. He's also very modest. He had a different role this year as well, which was pretty incredible. He got to ride the media bike, I think 2 days, which is insane. Normally Stefan Sam does that. But
cool.
we saw Sully jump in, and I think we'll dive into that later. He'll jump in and tell us.
Sully Spielberg.
Yeah, Sully in the gully. Have you ever met him, man?
So just before we dive into Epic, which is like the main focus for today's Breakaway, I think we can't ignore San Remo. So there's three real big stories there. One, Taddy, like none of us picked him as the favourite. Everyone, Van der Poel was even the bookies' favourite, if that matters to you. So there's a ludicrous ride back. Pidcock is the second sub-story, so close. Cam, works for that team when he's over in Europe, so that was very close to home, silently rooting for them. And then the female race,
Yikes.
on a bit of a low, massive crash and just appalling commentary and behavior that we feel obliged to talk about because it's just so fucking ridiculous and unacceptable that it has to be mentioned. Anyone want to contribute to their views on how the whole Teddy got to the finish line first?
I mean, we were very deep into Epic, and I walked into the media center, someone had put it on the TV, and I just see the Holy Trinity riding away from the bunch, and I was like, holy Moses, this is crazy. And it's beautiful to see. I didn't end up watching, so I don't have much to say. I saw the finish, obviously, but we were at work, but I thought that was a beautiful sight.
Yeah, I'd finished a long day on the bike, and obviously working for the team, Tom, all my money was on Tom. I was like, this is the time, especially after Strade Bianchi, he didn't have the race he wanted. So he literally went back to the drawing board and he said to the team, what are we going to do to win this race? I want to win this race.
Nice.
And I think that's why you see the disappointment in Tom, is because he really wanted to win it.
So close.
And
It was centimetres.
4 centimeters. Like, I think it's so hard because the team's so happy. Like that we're so close. No one has gotten this close to Tadej in how long?
Yeah.
Like it's incredible. But obviously for Tom, it's like you're the first loser, so it is hard. But big ups to him. And I think for me, it was just incredible that he could drop a guy like Van der Poel. It's next level.
Yeah.
There were some big crashes in the bunch. Obviously Tadej also crashing. Tom almost got into the crash with our guy that went down. Marcel hit the deck really hard and Tom was on his wheels. So it was quite scary for us at a time. But Tom managed to position himself right. And when Tadej went, he managed to be on the wheel. And like Max says, that Holy Trinity, the fact that they can ride away from Van der Poel like that is also just frightening. Like it's just incredible.
But that seemed abnormal. Like I don't know what happened.
I mean, let's be honest, Tadej's abnormal. I mean, the guy crashes, he doesn't grimps. He doesn't look like he's hurting. When he puts the attack in, it's just monotone and he goes. And I'm like, surely
he did hit those bars. That was the most outrageous thing. I mean, he got up very composed. He then did attack the bars. UAE is doing this new behind the scenes thing. I don't know if you guys have been following it on YouTube. It is epic. Proper behind the scenes stuff. Slight little shove there for Cam to get us to follow the team for the whole year.
I already put my hand up for that, don't worry.
Ridiculous. Like the footage, it's unbelievable what you see. It's not incredibly difficult to shoot either, but it's just perspective.
Yeah.
You see from the team car that in that team car, you can see everyone's like shit, but calm, so composed. Gets back on, like change bike, no, bike's fine, carries on going, rides away, wins. So that's, for anyone who hasn't watched it, Teddy crashes, not just anywhere, just before the climb where everyone is expecting him to go.
Yeah.
That's probably like the worst possible time to crash, and to keep your head in the game and to know like the goal is still the goal. Like nothing changes, nothing sways you. I mean, I'm really interested with Tom's, it's not a comeback, but his competitiveness, his ability to close that gap. Like, do you have any insight onto what did he do differently between the two events? Like, how did he get to where he got to this time?
I mean, a great question.
Yeah.
I haven't been there now. Obviously, I came home straight after Strada, so I don't know exactly what happens. But I mean, it's just keep believing, keep working. That's what it is. And I think you become so hungry that you want to beat someone. I think that inner drive takes over. And I think that's why we saw the disappointment in Tom, because it becomes a mind game, and it becomes how much hunger do you have to beat this guy? I think, you know, UAE have been dominating. And after Strada, I've never seen our team be like, how are we going to beat these guys? Like, what is next? And what are we going to do? We need to go all in. And I think Tom just went all in. He probably got everything perfectly right for the last 2 weeks. Sleep, eat, ride. And I think it shows.
The small percentages all adding up.
Good to
100%.
see that it's possible. So one thing I'll say in terms of drive and hunger, as hungry as Tom is, there's no one hungrier than Teddy to win that race. He wants that thing.
Yeah.
Now that it's done, I saw Dan from GCN did a brilliant summary of the race, you know, all the different tactics, how they played out, all the pools, brilliant summary of the race, as usual. But he talks about, will he even go back? Now that he's got it, probably won't. So is this not potentially Tom's new stomping ground? Is he? Because, I mean, no one was close to him at the end. I mean, Rewrote did that big pull ride at the end, which was good to see.
Yeah.
We all want him to be back in action, but...
Well, I mean, Tom was quite open
Possible.
about it. He was like, I want to beat today.
Yeah.
he doesn't
He
want
was
to
very
he doesn't
open
beat
about
Teddy.
it. He was like,
He doesn't want to just win.
he doesn't want to just win the race, and he wants to beat today. And I think that's the biggest thing. Is like
Rad.
he's like, I want to beat today, and I think everyone does. I think Tom's becoming the people's champ or Wout or whoever it is, because don't get me wrong, we all love Pogačar. What he's doing is incredible, but I think people do want to see someone beat him or dethrone him from a race. I don't think he is going to be one of the greatest cyclists of all times, but I think it's time to see someone else win, and I think the general public are feeling that too. Yes, we all love Tadej. I love Tadej, and I work for the team. Like, he's phenomenal. The whole team respects him. He is
good for
just
the sport.
such a good rider, but like,
It's like at Strada, he did exactly what he did the previous year.
correct.
Carbon
correct.
copy.
Well, the previous year he crashed, and that's something also I want to play along. He's got such a tendency of crashing and then riding through the bunch and winning. Like,
It's how he shakes his nerves off.
literally. Maybe
The
that's
ground
what
and
it
he's
is.
ready to go.
To know what gain you get from that adrenaline injection you get, because that's a real thing.
Yeah.
Maybe that's
It's not very long.
Maybe that's his natural
Maybe it's
doping. Crash, get the adrenaline. I'm superhuman.
Yeah,
I
that's
don't
how he
feel
does
pain.
it.
The one thing I wanted to add
Great for
is
Tristan.
I was watching an interview with Tom where he was talking about, you know, the 4 centimeters and how close it was. But I loved how he was just so ambitious in the way he was talking. And he mentioned, you know, Tadej was riding where he does 30 seconds on, like high cadence, high sprint, and then he kind of slows down. And Tom was saying how that actually suits his riding style. So he was having the opportunity to recover too.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, like, this is the new tactic. It's
To
like,
recover.
you know, like 30-30s until
Yeah.
who's the first person that crashed.
crack.
And I sat there lying in bed. I mean, woe is me. But I was like, oh, I would love to be in a situation where that was the case. Like, who cracks first? Are we doing 20-10s, 40-20s, 1 minute as hard as you can go? Is it a sprint to the top of the climb? Like, what's the decisive move? And I loved how it was something that everyone can relate to. Everybody does 30-30s in training. And imagine doing that as your race-winning move. Like, amazing.
I think some insight about Tom that I know from the team that I'm happy to share is how intelligent and calculated the guy is. I think we all think he's just a bike rider. He is probably one of the most intelligent and calculated guys I've ever met. The questions he asks about just everything, not only racing, just even if we have hospitality guests. He wants to know everything. He's super calculated and he knows exactly what's going on the whole time. And I think that shows in something like that. And in his interview, it pulls through to show that he's calculated and he knows exactly what's going on the whole time.
But even though he didn't win, I do think it's blood in the water now. Often you need that win to realize you can win.
Yeah.
But I think that was good enough.
Oh, yeah.
As a guy from Boxburg, it reminds me of that scene at the end of Fast and Furious, that first track. He's like, dude, I almost had you. It's Vin Diesel. Then he gives the famous, it doesn't matter if you win by an inch or a mile.
Yeah.
You can see Teddy giving Pidcock that speech. But
Well, I mean, to wrap up the men's race, don't you think it was incredible how they put their arms around each other afterwards and actually smiled? And I mean, we did see Tom going down the line, and then we saw them put their arms around each other. And it's like, to me, the sportsmanship there is incredible. Tadej had very good things to say about Tom, and Tom had very good things to say about Tadej. So I think the vice versa was incredible.
It's in a great place, and it tees up the rest of the classics.
Yeah.
It tees up the rest of the year, Tour de France and everything else. So onto, I almost don't even want to talk about the women's race because the negatives are like so outweigh the racing that happened. But say, do you want to maybe
I think,
lean into that as a female?
You know, just disclosure, I was also at Epic, so I'm not a fully aware of all the women's names that were within this crash. I mean, just to wrap up who won and how did they win, because we can go back and like talk about the crash. Maybe
I'll tell you in a moment all the ladies in the crash because I don't want to miss a single one of them.
So unfortunately with this event, the highlight for many people is the accident. And racing accidents, crashes, they do happen. We see it in men's races all the time. Slight touch of the wheel, slip out on corners. There's so many things that can really happen. However, when the men go down, it's amazing how the social media aspect of it is like, oh, damn, like, hope everyone's fine. You get up, you keep going, let's focus on what's next. But with this race, it was a hard accident. If the men went down like this, everyone would also have put their hands up and been like, whoa, 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 like, that's too hectic. Women were flying over the barrier. You know, somebody had hit the ground. They were coming full gas straight into the bunch, falling way over onto the road. And some of the comments from there, with women lying, to be honest, pretty lifeless on the ground, were things like, oh, women drivers. You know, oh, so good for the sport. Now this is entertaining. And you forget that these are humans. These are athletes.
Well, there's a life on the line.
You don't know, as the viewer, how these women are doing. And something that I really appreciate, I mean, Kim LaCour, she's quite close to the South African world. And we've seen her, you know, boom in the industry. She was one of the riders who actually stopped. And she was like, there is more to racing, and making sure
sportsmanship there.
Yeah, 100%. I was like, go girl, because that is not just an example that so many of us would have done, but to see it, to be at the top and to still go, this win is not worth it for me, or that position is not worth it for me. We need to see if she's okay before the ambulance, before all the help gets there. And so, you know, I have like quite a lot of rage inside of me because as a woman, I mean, even having not finished Epic, I've had my fair share of people commenting directly, commenting online, and you have to filter it out and you have to understand, like, yes, it's a bike race. It does mean a lot, but there's nothing more important than, you know, health, wellness, and checking on the broken bones, broken organs. Like, what is wrong with you? Make sure that you are okay first, because the longevity of your career matters so much more than that one position in that race.
But also just a human's life. Like,
100%.
And I know this is very different, but, and we'll get into this later about when we talk about Epic. I passed Vera and Rosa when they're on the side, and I'm the first person to be like, "Are you guys okay? Do you need help?" And I don't mind ruining my Epic to help them. I just wish more of the cycling community would be like that, you know, because it is terrible, whether it's a male or a female. Like, it's.
So I don't think the guys in the comments. I was saying to Sully earlier, like, I actually think they're bots. I cannot believe that a human would go and do that. One, two, they sure as hell are not cyclists. I can guarantee they're not cyclists.
That's the thing, that because of the spectacle, that video is reaching an audience outside of the cycling realm. So it's completely uneducated morons. They don't know what they're talking about.
Who've never crashed on their road bike before. Because the smallest, slowest of crashes can be the worst of damages on the body.
And a lot of the time it's got nothing to do with, it's not always technical. It can be, we were going down the neck the other day. Cam, McMillan, he punctured and nearly hit an oncoming car because, you know, he punctured and you just start going straight. Your bike's not turning anymore.
Yikes.
Like that, it can happen. Someone actually died. A kid died. And that was when they stopped racing down there. I can't actually find the list of all the names of the people that were in the crash. I did look for it.
Shame, thank you.
But Silvestri was the the worst.
Shame.
Affected.
She was the one, that went over the barrier and hit the ground.
Speed, but it's a whole, but she had it the worst. And then, it's...
I was amazed that the live broadcast held that shot. I mean, often in that kind of situation, you cut.
Yeah, 100%. I couldn't believe that.
Yeah.
I think, and we spoke about this before, I don't know who the famous quote is from, but for evil to triumph, it means good people must do nothing. It could be Winston Churchill. I don't actually know who it is. Someone in the comments will definitely slate me for not knowing, which I'm starting to enjoy. Like, always hold me accountable.
Yeah.
But by the same breath, I'm not saying go and start comment wars, but I do like to see people where you maybe wouldn't have commented to go there and just say, like, if a lady reads this, I'm a guy, the rest of these are absolute idiots. Ignore it. Yeah. We're all on the same side. Because not enough people say it. We'll all look at their checkouts and be like, it's ridiculous, which is why we're talking about it here. Because don't let anyone who watches this or is a part of our community think for a second it's male versus female. There's this, there isn't this common respect between the two. It's the exact opposite. Yeah. I think that momentum is building, and things like this can very easily come in and unsettle people. I had, there's a lady whose name I won't mention that DMs quite a lot on the Active Hobo Instagram page. Thank you. And it raises these issues. And I'm so glad that they do, because we have a platform that's ever growing. So you have to have these conversations. You've got to talk when you're in the cafe, when you're around, and build these things together, because the community is exactly that. It's male and female. And man, you'll underestimate it going on a bicycle at your own peril. I've been dominated by Sarah on a mountain bike. I've been destroyed by Layla on a road bike, among many others. Like, you actually have got no clue how good they are. Which I suppose we'll get to in a moment when we start covering Epic. But I suppose this is a bit of a call to action where you see these things in real life or otherwise. Don't say nothing. And maybe you don't go and attack the person and get involved in a war of words because you're speaking to an imbecile and you'll never actually get through. But maybe leave a comment that just says, hey, I'm a guy, and all the respect to women out there. But whatever it is, just be a voice of change and reason out there. I mean, that's important.
And I would love to add, so we don't want to make it a keyboard warrior war, right? I think biggest thing is kind of like what we're doing here. We bringing awareness to something that we're not really happy with seeing, which is the negative comments about females having accidents and crashes on the road. Yes, it was devastating. But then what we can do is, in conversation at coffee, we can go, man, she hit the ground hard, but wasn't it amazing to see how many other girls stopped and helped her? So it's not really about focusing on the hit the ground part, it's the focusing on how do these women get back up, keep going, what are we seeing from there onwards? And so we're changing the conversation in turn.
100%.
It's then the caliber of how we talk about these women is going to continue to grow.
Ken's sportsmanship for me was the standout story there.
Yeah.
And that was instinctive, that was authentic, that wasn't, that was a camera rolling, let me quickly stop, 100%. This is good media. That was real heartfelt, and
a lot of good media around that, and it's not Kim putting on a show.
No,
she said it how it is, and that's also the beauty of how she's coming up through the ranks within the sport. Is that she's raw, she's real, she's fair, and just a really good ambassador for the sport and for Africa, which is awesome.
Well, I mean, we can vouch for that. The three of us know her, and that's how she is. She would be that person at Epic. If she had the leader's jersey at Epic or whatever, she would do that. So tops to you. Kim, I think that's incredible.
Just around the ladies' race out, it was Lotte Kopecky that won ahead of Naomi Rugg, who was at the last classic an absolute beast as well. That was my favorite pick, other than Borghini, who didn't finish. Commentator's curse. And Eleonora Camilla Gasparini.
Try again.
Gasparini. UAE.
Nice.
It was tough. It was a good race. But regrettably spoiled by that crash. Epic.
Alle weet nie wat ons weet nie. South Africa's back, baby.
Sully, you get the opening remarks on this, because I think you were the first to say it as you sat down. There really is one major big headline, which is
first all South African team to win the event in its history. I mean, it's massive.
I literally got goosebumps. Literally, I get.
And
it's a long time coming.
So obviously Matt Pierce, his fourth win. But for Tristan at his age, he's also been a teammate of Matt's before. They went their separate ways. They've come back together under unusual circumstances, with Keegan withdrawing. Would Keegan have won? Who knows? It's tricky
Big
coming
question.
to African soil and getting hammered. I mean, like the guys that win yellow Willia, they've been at it for years to get to that point. You don't just rock up in Africa and win the Epic.
And they came here to win.
Yeah.
They physically stated that. We came here to win.
And they were on their way to do it until the Matt Beers Express and his Fenta trailer.
That is the coolest marketing opportunity ever. Please, Toyota, put Matt in a Land Cruiser. And Tristan, if you'll accept, just sit in a Fenta trailer. On a trainer or something, like we need to see that shot.
I'm sure you would.
Yeah.
That type of guy.
Yeah.
Matt, just some stats you mentioned. It is the closest margin of, it's the closest
Victory,
margin
yeah.
between
Wow.
first and second in
Ever,
history
yeah.
ever. And it's also, the next closest was the same team in second, the
Yeah.
Willia guys.
Yeah, I think it was
Which is-
2 years ago. They finished
Yeah.
second. I think it's when Nino won.
Yeah.
Also, that was the narrowest margin. I think it was a minute 30. And then now this year, down again. So racing incredibly tight, which is awesome.
Over such a distance, over so much,
and-
with so many things to come in between.
And I think it's also the second time ever that the jersey has changed on the final day. The first time was when Speed Company won.
Yeah.
I remember.
That day was incredible.
Yeah. So it was also a monumental day. So all in all, I mean, geez, the crowds on the grand finale was insane.
Yeah.
Like people holding cardboard, saying 13 seconds, and like
Oh.
it was insane. It was amazing to be there, front row seats, chasing the racing.
You've covered a lot in your time. Can you recall a moment in the entirety of your history of being involved in cycling, which we've done a podcast with Sully. I suggest you watch it.
It's a good
is there
one.
any moment that compares in size and sentiment to that one?
Well, when we had that podcast, we spoke about what's my favorite moments I've captured, and it was when the Imbuko team back then, Marco Ube, who's still part of the setup now, won a stage.
Yeah.
And that was from a small little setup. And I mean, I was part of the team 6-7 years ago, and the founding goals were to win the Epic.
Yeah.
And that's with Tiernus. He's committed a huge amount of money, time, effort, stress to make it happen. So now that favorite moment in history of me working at sports events is rewritten,
Yeah.
which happened on Sunday, which is
And the
Great.
physical scale of that moment, though, in terms of people, in terms of media, in terms of everything, is it the biggest in like physical scale that you can recall?
in mountain biking, 100%. I mean, I was chatting, Cam would have also spoken with him, Nico Roach, Grand Tour stage winner, teammate to Alberto Contador, commentator at the Tour de France. Had a brandy with him late on Sunday night.
Just
And
one.
And I said, well, this is the Tour de France of mountain biking. And he said, yes, I understand it now.
Wow.
He's heard it before, and he's always thought, no, there's nothing that compares to Tour de France. Obviously, the scale is nowhere close.
Yeah.
But as far as mountain biking goes, it's the biggest stage for a marathon rider. And it's going to change Tristan's life, for sure. I don't know if you watched the
You will never
post-race
pay for a
interviews.
Fenta trailer ever again.
No. I mean, the tears,
Such a legend.
I
I
went
was
back
crying
and watched
watching it.
the highlights because obviously I'm in the thick of it.
Yeah.
I went back to watch it and it brought tears to my eyes, seeing how emotional I was on the finish line.
Brew, I was sitting watching it, and I'm going to let you guys speak. I'm just his perspective in terms of exposure is different. But we were watching that interview. Kansas was watching it. We had it on an iPhone, and the TV. We're like so engrossed for loads of reasons we couldn't be there. And Kans burst into tears watching. So Tristan is her favorite, and Kans is a cradle snatcher. I'm younger than her, so Tristan, you be careful. She's like taking pictures with him, and you know when she sees him out at stuff, and like she really loves the person that is him. You know his capabilities on a bike. It's like secondary. And watching that interview, he's talking, and then he just breaks down, and he's like starts bawling. She starts bawling. Like the whole house. Like I can't recall a time cycling in my 6 years of watching it has brought so much emotion into the home of South Africans. It's so special. And like Beers, like tip of the hat. Buddy Beers, what a legend. But Tristan is this beautiful little shining star. And it's just, there's so much like hope and excitement and like, fuck yeah, man. So cool.
I think for me, just the energy is insane. And I want Max to elaborate because I don't know if anyone didn't see it, but basically what happened is they beat the Willier guys to the line, and the commentators stood there with the whole of the crowd counting down the seconds. Like,
What a
I'm
moment.
almost, I don't know if it's just
party.
placebo or what it is, but I was still going out towards Eden, and I was like, pretty sure I can hear this. Like, this is incredible. And like, that atmosphere, I had to go back and watch it because I was obviously riding, and I was like, I just wanted to see how it played out because I knew it was going to come down to something like that. It was going to be a countdown of some sorts, and like, how incredible is that? And then apparently the atmosphere and like the whole crowd that was there at the finish line was just counting down together. I mean, how insane is that?
And it was amazing because you see the hordes of media in the background, but everyone was like still, like pointing their cameras. But normally it's like a mad rush to get your perfect shots and this and that. Everyone's just still, and also they're sitting there waiting.
Holding your breath, just waiting.
And then as soon as the commentator goes, then it's chaos again. Champagne. Everyone's running into frame, hugs, like
Calm before the storm.
yeah, it's wild. It's wild.
Incredible. I think we've elaborated a lot on them. I just also want to give my well done to their teammates, all 4 of them, in fact, because this race would not be won without teammates.
Yeah.
How many times did Matt and Tristan puncture? And how many times did poor little Lewis and Jaden have to give them the wheel? That poor man needs a breakthrough one day. He's going to be the A rider and he doesn't have to give a wheel. But
his time will come.
exactly, his time will come and he knows what he's doing. And it's so cool to see how they had a team dynamic that they let Travis and Marco still ride for GC position 2. I mean, they were 6 overall. Like, that's incredible for another 2 South Africans. Like, that's insane. And I think they really helped on the last 2 days. Apparently, there was a thing on the second last day where like Travis and Marco just like had to get ahead of them into a certain single track, and they just went full gas ahead of Villiers.
They played a bit of a defensive role.
But fair play, because it was the Italian mafia versus South African.
Just had to disrupt.
I don't know what order we are, but we went. And I think it was just incredible. Like, so I don't want to forget about how much of a role the whole team played, as in Travis, Marco, Lewis, and Jaden.
I did want to circle back to that, and you will have a good idea, you especially, but how big that team is. So one of the first people I congratulated was Greece Science to Sport, that obviously involved there. Piers actually mentioned in his post, he thanked Mark for his involvement. There's beyond that, there is Toyota and Imbuko, I think, are the big enablers there. So we talk all the time, like, we have a media problem. We don't have this, we don't have that, like cycling overall. There may be other brands, and correct me, you guys know the team set up way better than I do, but those 2 brands and the people behind them have said, we're going to help make this happen. Our Springbok squad wouldn't be what it is if our high school, we spoke about this in the podcast, like it takes a huge investment over many years, which you've been very close to seeing. And these 2 brands in particular have said, we'll give you the budget, we'll give you the support, let's run this like a proper pro team. Let's have professional, everything top to bottom, all hands on deck. And it's just so inspiring to see a South African outfit doing this, to see those brands putting their money behind it. I don't know how many Toyotas they sell as a result of supporting that team. I don't know how many fence trailers that Tristan's going to sell. Please God, let that happen. Ever.
Best go
I don't know how many bottles of wine or how many, I don't think it's about that to them. But I mean, make no mistake, there's huge media there. But also massive, you have to thank these brands. I mean, pray God they watch this channel, but like, unreal that they're supporting this and making it happen, because it wouldn't be there if they didn't. Willier and all the other teams, they have proper budgets to do this. Like, it's not the race entry, it's not the bike. It's, you will know, it's
there's so much
everything up until then. It's all that stuff that leads up to that moment. So riders, biggest tip of the hat, but to these brands enabling this, like I would imagine back in the day that the road teams that went and competed abroad and did that iconic series the other day, that must have been what it was like. Proper professional outfit that goes and attacks races. We're watching it real time. We're living it, we're experiencing
And we're finally seeing it succeed. I mean, how many years has this gone on for, where we've been so close, or we've had the backup team, but it didn't quite work at the right time. Like, the thing about, I mean, what a privilege to have 3 teams in the Epic, all like kind of working together. But to have one backup team means that backup team has to be 1% off of their time in order to make the difference, to give them the wheel so that they don't lose the time. And I think in the women's field, we're slowly finally seeing this start to come to life, but with the gaps in strength. I mean, even if I were to race with another one of me, I would still not have been close enough to Vero and Rosa to be able to help them if they had a mechanical, you know.
That's a good point.
So in order to create a team like that means that South Africa needs to build the depth, the standard, and then we have to be able to pick and choose the right people with the right resilience, grit, ability to race for 8 days in a row. Like that now, as we've seen, is a lot harder to do than one might realize. There's a big difference between riding an event and racing an event, and at that top tier, the risks that these riders are taking and are willing to take, all for the big picture of can our team win? It takes like a decade at minimum to get right once. And now, well, can they do that again? Like, this is the big thing, is have they got the winning recipe? It looks like it for now.
That is such a good question.
Well, I mean, definitely. Like, look what they did last year. So let's just play year on year. Last year they came third,
Which
Marco
was also
and Tristan,
Yeah.
which is
mega.
incredible. That is huge. So like, look at the path. They're on the right trajectory.
Yes,
And it's
100%.
like, I think also I like playing on the fact that when Matt and Tristan punctured, they knew that Lewis and Jaden would give them the tire, or the wheel, not Marco and Travis. That is
Pre-planned.
that's a
You
plan.
reckon that's
that
like,
has
if
to,
this
it
happens,
is.
okay,
that has to be a
scenario's
plan.
planned.
You can't tell me that's not a plan.
2 hands to play.
Because they were behind. Travis were behind, and they rode past them. But that's the plan. You got to stick to the plan, trust the process. And I think this is what Tinus has done so well, is he's trusted the process. He's put the right people in place, and he's built this incredible team that is a race-winning recipe.
It shows me, and please let this reach the boardrooms of all these other big brands. Like we were talking about budget earlier and how expensive things are to do. South Africa has money. We have multi-billion dollar companies that don't have good avenues to invest their money. Marketing's become stale. Like to stand out above the noise these days, like this kind of thing can really work if there's a spectacle. Like absolutely. So it's Imbuko, Tinus, this mad setup of people that have put this together have now proved you can win a Cape Epic.
Yeah.
You've got to have a long-term view, you've got to blah, 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 all these wonderful things. That's a boardroom marketing conversation. We have a long-term outlook, a deep partnership, we want consistency, we don't want to flash in the pan, this isn't a fad activity. There you go. Look, they've done it.
And look after the well-being of the riders.
Yeah.
I mean, Marco, he was a bit injured last year, and they gave him the time to recover, recoup. If there's surgery needed, if there's rehab needed, they support that.
Yeah.
Because you're running a professional outfit.
Yes.
It's not this, I don't want to say Mickey Mouse, but it's not this, we're not playing pro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're not pretending. Like these are salaried professional racers that all they do. I mean, I see videos all the time on what's his name,
Mars.
Carps, and he's just like a full-time job.
Dedicated.
Yeah.
We need people to be able to do this. The same as we don't expect the Springboks to be sitting at an office like hacking through Claude and emails and doing PowerPoint presentations. Like it's could talk forever about this. I want to get into some of the stages and the stuff. What you and Ollie did is also ridiculous. Sarah, we need to talk about your race. We need to
And the
practice some
women.
kindness here.
And the women.
Obviously the women's race, like take nothing away from Candice winning as well by a convincing margin.
Yeah.
And so everyone will look at that and say, oh, it was easy for her. She had the right partner. Yes, it went pretty smoothly for them, no mishaps, but also it's 8 years in the making, or 8 attempts in the making.
Yeah.
To
Anyone
finally
who doesn't
win this.
know the 8 attempts, maybe color in a bit how close those have been.
How many close?
How many seconds has
Yeah.
she had?
Yeah.
Losing the jersey on the last day.
Yeah.
You know?
When-
A few times. 5?
No, I think that was the one. It was twice. Wasn't it?
Twice. So one was with Amy when the wheel destroyed.
Yeah.
And the other one was when Vera and Kim won Epic.
Yes.
I
But that was
don't-
with Amy, wasn't it?
Oh, was that?
That was the-
Oh, my Epics are mushing together.
But the fact of the matter,
Candice Lill finished second overall 5 times.
Yeah.
yeah.
But she got very close to once. I think the rest have been bigger. The one, they lost it on the last day. Literally the last day with Amy Wakefield.
So
Hard, eh?
Candice has also obviously been on a pretty steady trajectory, becoming a world-class athlete on the XCO scene. And she's very much done it in a different way to most athletes would. As far as team setups, it's her and Darren doing it their way, grinding, learning, figuring it out.
Privateer setup, right? And with some
Yeah.
good sponsors.
Yeah. So it's incredible how long it's taken, but that perseverance, so it's 100% deserved. Yeah.
So I have a question for you, Sully. Do you think that now with Thomas cycling and her riding with a partner that's on the same bike as her, having more of a setup, helped towards this victory?
I think she could have done it on any bike, to be honest. But there is definitely a benefit to having that synergy with your partner, for sure, and some sort of brand alignment. But I think it's what's more important is the relationship that they have.
Okay.
They race elbow to elbow in Europe. And you listen to one or two of the interviews and they talk to how this partnership is merged or morphed into something more
Yeah.
as far as friendship. And
Say you agree.
So much.
Talk to me about bikes.
So the thing is, we talk about like what makes a great setup, but I think on one side of things, it's about like the testosterone and the willingness to race, and you want to win, you want to beat everybody, and rah, I'm a man. But then on the women's side, that cohesion of the team, the synergy of brands, the vision that you have is really such a big driving force, and the experience that one brings into the team. And so with this, I mean, I've been silently admiring Candice for many, many years, having raced against her my entire career, never, ever, ever coming close.
it's a tough shadow to be in.
Yeah, but I mean, what an incredible example that she set. So one thing's for sure is the way she carries herself and that calm demeanor of, we take the chaos and we control the chaos. It's not going to control us, kind of thing. The way she translates mishaps, mechanicals into race wins, stage wins, and now finally the epic win. She brings this entire package with her, and anyone who has the privilege of racing with her gets to share that vision and an alignment. And when you have that together, I always talk about like how the magic happens, but this is what we're finally seeing. We're seeing consistency in action, stage after stage after stage. And like Max will know more if there was any like drama within the team, because yes, it can be plug and play each day, but we know the body feels great for 1 hour, terrible for the next. You riding in dust 1 hour, and then it's pouring with rain, and your bike is going through all sorts of things. Some days you can shift, some days you can't. But they took all of that, and they were still able to just calm the chaos and continue going.
They're
Calm and collect.
still key smooth.
Yes, so smooth. Yeah. And I think, from a women's racing perspective, the more you can make it this like calm bubble of like, we can do this, there is nothing that we can't overcome.
Yeah.
The more likely the team is to succeed.
Yeah.
Candice, she just stays in Nortje, right?
Yeah. She's a neighbor.
So one of the thoughts that I had, and I also want to talk about Hailey Squared, because that was an incredible story of, I feel really sorry for the
Vera and Russell.
Yeah, that pulled out. That was tragic.
And Grit and Kate.
The name of the team was She Sends
That's
Racing.
Kate and
Yeah, that was so cool to watch.
Yeah.
But to see a narrative of just chip away at it. Hailey spoke about how she gets better the longer something goes on, and she like rides herself into to watch that unfold as the days went on.
Yeah.
Going, from second, I would never have called them firmly in second on day 1 and 2 was so sick to see. The point that I was going to make is we got our predictions 100% right for the first time. There was a race winning prediction for
Candice. I think we both said.
years plus.
Oh,
21.
actually, I think I said Kate, but
It's okay. I'll take this one.
I definitely remember the Nordica's backing Candice.
Yeah.
That was,
no, for sure you guys did. Yeah.
So that was, guys, we know what we're doing on the show.
Yeah.
But that second place was also ridiculous. Like that's.
I mean, if you look at the results sheets, time gaps are quite big, but you can't take it away from them, because to finish on the podium, you have to be steady, consistent, no mechanicals, no illness. It's a reality of the Cape Epic. Illness is rife. Mechanicals most punctures I've ever seen.
Yes.
In a race.
The first couple of days were little bombs everywhere.
Specifically in the first
those
3
days in
right?
Montagu's, I mean, stage 2 was the roughest day I've ever had on the back of a motorbike. Like, I was praying for it to end.
We're in the gully.
Can you
Yeah.
can you run us through? You gave me your gear breakdown earlier. Yes, that was funny.
You don't have to cringe anymore.
Alec,
I'm
You're a studio now. It's okay.
Alec also
PTSD.
saying to me the first message I got from Alec. I was waiting for a fuck yeah, this has been amazing. Camera needs service.
Yep.
Champagne all over lens. This like
Yeah.
breakdown of how wrecked all my gear is, and I'll get to Alec in a moment and how heroic I think he was for a first ever epic. But tell us about the.
So I mean, we sit on the back of a 690. I'm pretty snug with my biker. Generally, you're sitting either on like some metal or plastic handles. It's not very comfortable.
So
Just so people know, it's
6
not a dirt bike, but it's not an adventure bike. It's the in-between.
It's in between, yeah. So it's small enough you can ride single track, but it's got enough power to still hook it on.
It's not a Harley with cushy seats and a sound system.
No, the seat's this big. I mean, so I wear boots, long pants, a cycling bib, because like I take
Because I want to be part of the action.
I take 7 bibs to the Epic because I need a bib every day because I mean it's one thing. I'm not in control on the back. We hit every stone rock.
You really do.
That
And you don't
collab
always-
makes sense now. I got you.
Yeah,
They're not always on the single track either because they're coming past you or cutting through to make the
riding
next.
through the bundus, like dodging trees. It gets rowdy, but you get used to it, and you have to be a good passenger because there were lots of guys that crash the motorbikes here and there. Generally, it's just a little fall over in the sand or in a bush, whatever. But that stage 2. When we got up top Oberg Pass going across, it just got rougher. Then they turned right into reserve. And I was like, oh, thank goodness. We have a media route that goes round. The media route was worse than the route. It was like, I was sitting there just hoping for it to end. I mean, so you got gimbal in the one hand and when possible, hang on with the other hand. And it's super physical. Even just holding that gimbal, it's, I don't know, 4.5 kilos all in. And you think, oh, that's not heavy, but take one of those little 2 kg weights and just hold it like this
All day.
and see how long you can do it.
Yeah.
You know, so it gets rowdy, and then once you hit the gravel road, I'm like, sure, thank goodness.
And you out there, you said the one day you got back in at 3.
Yeah. So
It's a big day.
spent a bit of time chasing Cam. That was always fun, and I'm sure he appreciates seeing a familiar face out there whilst he's suffering. But yeah, then also covering some of the other stories in the back. You know. Like the last lioness out of the stain, and she was moving. A lot of amputees, people doing their first epic, bought a bike 7 months ago. So there's like really beautiful stories in the back of the race, but it means we have to spend longer out there. And those riders are exposed to the elements way longer than anyone else, whether it's heat, wind or rain.
You said the elites got drizzled on and you got soaked.
I was completely wet. I was wearing a bin bag. You know, a waterproof jacket only lasts so long if it's constantly rained on, you know.
Yeah.
So
Never turn your nose up at a bin bag when you're out in
No.
the depth of a gravel adventure.
Literally.
So I think Epic as a whole, and Cam and Sarah, you can touch on it. I think it was a really good overall experience. We had the raw, rough, long stages, like the pure Epic from 10, 15 years ago. We had the amazing trails. We had decent weather. It was hot at times. It got a little bit of rain, but the extremes were not too intense, you know. So
See my bum.
no, thank you. But I think overall it was a great epic. It was a tough one on my end, and I think for the riders' end as well. But overall experience, good.
So do you want me to go first or you have a go?
Maybe
It's a good segue, tough-wise, to jump
look,
to say, because
it's DNFing a bike race is never a positive experience. That decision never comes instantly. It's not like you go, okay, that's it, like I'm done. You know, I don't feel like doing this anymore. It's a lot of hours and hours of pushing through, trying to adapt, trying to consume the right kind of carbohydrates that are going to get absorbed correctly, making sure you're drinking, having your partner there. With me, it poor Rian he didn't really even know what to do at one point, because I got so weak to the point where I was feeling quite lightheaded and I was walking up the UFO climb. And so those who did the UFO climb, it's very, very rideable. It's at the end of the race. It's a tough climb, but for somebody who has trained for this and who has done multiple epics, if I'm walking up that, there's something very, very wrong.
Yeah.
And so I have an injury that has been kind of haunting me at Epic specifically year after year. And last year I had a very similar incident to happen. Essentially, my stomach herniates through my diaphragm. And so that pain of having an organ not where it should be, number one, is very difficult to manage. But your body then is under stress. And when your body is under stress, it starts to retain a lot of water, and you actually I feel like my stomach is yanking out of my body down all the hills. So the one part of the course that I absolutely love, which is the sick downhills, is now, it's purely associated with yanking pain. And it's not uncommon, actually, to have something like this, sliding hernias, stomach hernias, this kind of stuff happens. But it's very similar to a sprained ankle. So if you sprain your ankle once, like, it's very sore, you put it back together, you're okay. But then you sprain it again, it almost sprains a little bit easier. And then before you know it, you're just like collapsing on the ground because your ankle has zero stability anymore. So unfortunately, we got to a point now where no matter what we did, no matter the stomach meds, the radical diet changes, the increase in training, the increase in core stability, everything, still didn't work. And so I got to a point after suffering through what was supposed to be the easiest stage, before the Queen stage, which was so insane. I watched it and I was like, I would have had to have been paramedically taken off the track if I had tried that route in my condition. And it was the decision to go, I love racing my bike. I don't want to stop racing my bike. I really, really want that number 6 on my Epic jersey next year, but I also want to be able to do another Epic. And so to make that call is very, very difficult. And there were a lot of people this year at Epic that it's like you're forced to choose health first. And it seems like a really strong thing, but it's a very brave decision. And I know how much time, money, and sacrifice is invested into doing something like Epic. But that call is not in vain. All your training you did to build up to Epic is not for nothing. You know, you might not have finished Epic, but that doesn't mean you're not tough. It doesn't mean that you couldn't do it. You know, luck was not quite on your side. And there are many more opportunities. There are many more South African stage races to do that are also tough, that are, you know, that might be better suited for you. And for me, I would love to have the opportunity perhaps to take somebody through their first Epic, to be a mentor to somebody doing an Epic, because I'm not quite sure if my racing for the win of a certain jersey or title at Epic is still there, but the opportunity to teach and pass on knowledge and to be that person to support is very much still there. And there are many, many stage races that are slightly less days that I can still do at full gas racing.
I suppose anyone watching this will have the same thought I just did, which is, how patient are you? Because I'm on that early bird waiting list, and I'm just like, I cannot imagine. Looking at the times, I would sit on that Epic app, which, kudos to Epic, that app is brilliant. We were talking about it earlier as well. And I'd look at, so I'd favorited, you can favorite teams and you can see as they're coming in. And I'd see, you know, Tristan, the Bullier guys, the, you know, Imbuko, see their times come in. And it was always, how far back is Cam as my reference point for like high level? How far back is Sayre as like a mixed, above average mixed? I had Simon Stoffberg there as how far back is the most influential social media person I know, who's extremely fit. And it quickly starts to dawn on you like, oh my gosh, this is not, you can't stumble into this thing. You say people bought a bike 7 months ago and you're trailing them at the back.
It's long. The days are really long. But you go water point to water point. So, you have the right support system there. You have the right people on you. You have people waiting for you at the finish line.
How patient are you, Sarah? That's the question on people's minds. You have to think that one through.
I think a lot of people forget that it's not just a bicycle race. everything has to be right. And
Yeah,
we see it
like
time
winning
and
the
time
race.
again, 100%. I see it time and time again. I mean, let's first dive into this. There were stats, I think, that went out yesterday, just over 500 finishes. I think there's 750 teams who start.
700.
Just over 500 teams finished, and there were like 130 individual finishes.
250 times 2, that's...
Like a lot of people drop out this race. It's a common thing.
And
And
I mean, there's
especially
people
in
who
the last
drop
3
out on the
days.
prologue.
Especially in the last 3 days, people drop out. But yes, there was people on the prologue.
The
heat.
Queen stage was the biggest as far as cutoffs go. There were
Yeah.
physical
Was that the...
board cuts.
I heard,
that's so hot.
before we move on to that, I'm so glad you chose
Health.
health first.
Yes.
I really enjoyed watching your daily breakdowns and the intent going in. Like you knew what could have gone wrong. You trained and you prepped for it, and I'm glad to hear that that's where your mindset's at.
Thank
Like,
you.
That message yesterday, or maybe you guys just go on because I didn't even finish. Like, no, say none of that. You did phenomenal. Like,
Thank you.
really, really mega well done. Very good to chat to your partner, to get him to come in and talk, his perspective. That could be rad. So let's not leave that off the table.
Thank you.
Someone was saying that the Epic bank on people pulling out because they wouldn't be able to cater for everyone if they didn't pull out.
I think that's a white lie.
Cape Points down through to Scarborough, Peloton bands. I'm like,
Yeah.
there's no ways they cater for people to not.
I mean, for sure, they adapt. Like, naturally.
They won't be profitable if 300
Yeah.
people don't pull out, so they make
No.
it super hard.
Not a chance.
Because bro science is real.
Yeah.
But it's
So
also
this is me squashing the Peloton rumor of one person.
the trend has been for people to stay off site. So they know statistically, cool, we don't need a tent for every single person because more and more people are staying off site. So yes, they're going to make clever financial decisions, but yeah, I think
I said that in jest.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
actually
no.
I would tend to agree with Sully there.
wasn't said to me.
I think it's a lot of people think that because they don't actually realize how many people stay off site and come in from an outside every day, just arrive at the start and then straight after as they leave. I
There's
think
no
a
way
lot
I'm
of people
sleeping in a
forget that.
tent if I do Epic. It's not happening.
I mean, the tents aren't bad.
They've upgraded them.
Yeah.
They're
It's
actually
a
big.
tent.
Yeah.
I
You
don't
can sleep
do
with your
tents.
bike in your tent.
I'll do a tent to go
Yeah.
and see that ship that you took that amazing picture of, and that is it. Like, I'm not
Yeah.
a tent guy.
Yeah.
I've always said families that go camping hate their
But
kids. Why would you do that?
It's not the little red one-person tents anymore.
Yeah.
That's rough.
Yeah.
You
That's
you can't sell me a tent. I will buy
We'll
anything.
see.
I'm a salesman's dream. You cannot sell me a tent.
The nice thing about the tents is maximum recovery time. So that's the
Convenience.
downside, yeah. So when you cross the finish line, you go shower, you roll into your tent, or you roll into the chill zone. For those who don't have a rental car, a spare driver, a soigneur, massage therapist, chef.
Yeah.
So for those people who are just doing it for their first time maybe, or if it's just them, on bare minimum, it's much better than it used to be. It gets tough when it rains, so you have to bring your gumboots.
Or
It
if it's
gets
hot. Yeah.
really tough when it's hot, and that's where you kind of have to drag your mattress out to some random tree and just kind of like try and survive.
The war stories.
Yes,
You
but
just sold me not getting a tent. Thank you.
but Montague was great because the whole town opened up all their Airbnbs. There was very accessible places to stay. Greyton, well, it wasn't really Greyton. It was
Middle class.
Middle
But I mean,
class.
it's about 15 minutes outside of Greyton, but Greyton is quite small as it
Yeah.
is.
I actually think it was a better decision that it was closer to Bottrefeer. We stayed in Bottrefeer. So it was kind of in between Bottrefeer, Greyton and Villiersdorp. So you had people staying in all three
Yeah.
little towns,
Nice.
which worked
They were
well.
quite
Yeah.
spread out. Yeah.
But still, the raw, rugged, remote stages, which is great. Like that stuff in Montague, up in the mountains in the middle of nowhere.
Was
In these
beautiful.
crazy valleys.
Yeah.
You look gnarly.
I'm not a guy that normally gets lost with direction. Like I'm pretty good with direction. Not to blow steam up my own arse, but there was one stage I was riding through Montague and I was like,
Where
I
are we?
actually have no idea which way is home. And like I was like, this is quite scary because I've never been like this before. That's how beautiful and in this remote location we were. It was incredible.
Epic team. It's like
Yeah.
tick. Yeah.
Get lost. Tick.
Yeah.
Find yourself.
Tell
Tick.
us about your ride with Ollie. You've sat there
Yeah.
very quiet and patient to
Yeah.
share your
So,
story.
what number was that for Pinner?
Yeah, so I think I want to start there. This was Ollie's 16th epic.
Wow.
16th epic he's finished with a partner, which is incredible.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the biggest things.
It's experience.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I learn every year from him. This was definitely a vintage epic, as he would explain. I think it was very suited to all different types of people. It wasn't like last year where it was a lot of single track there. We had the open stages, the fast, the long, the hard, the rain, the wind. So like it was known as like a vintage type of epic. So I learned a lot from him on that behalf. But like I said before going in, like Ollie always told me it's a long road to Paris, piano, piano, piano. And it really played off. Like we started not badly, but the amount of people we passed on the first day with a puncture because they were going full gas, or the amount of people that we saw from Monday to Wednesday fly past us and beat us by 3 to 10 minutes that didn't finish on Sunday is super high. So I think that's where that experience comes in, and the consistency that every day we can get up, show up and go. He didn't have the legs this year, which was quite interesting. Obviously, he trained super hard in December. It was quite a joke because he looked at me and said, I'm not letting what happened last year happen to me again this year. I'm going to train this year. And he even said in an interview with Alec that he really put in effort this year. And yeah, I just think from Wednesday to Friday, even a little bit of Saturday, he had no legs. But it's amazing how strong his mind is to just be consistent and get to the finish line. If you can get to the finish line, it's like winning the race. And I think we've seen that. Look at the Haileys, for example. Yeah. They finished second because they got to the finish line.
Yeah.
And they kept chipping away. Yeah. Don't get me wrong, they were racing extremely hard, but they were in control the whole time. No crashes, maybe there was 1 or 2 tip overs, but no crashes, no mechanicals. No stomach bugs. They got there. You know, you got to be consistent. A lot of people get carried away, and I think a big thing is like even with Ollie, we had Alec join us from the organization, and he learned a lot. And I think one of the biggest things he learned and he got a big fright about was Ollie was like, do you have sanitizer with you? Because if you get sick, you're going home, Bill. And I think Alec was like, what do you mean? Like he didn't even realize that. And I think that shows the experience of like Ollie. And don't touch people. Don't get too close to people. Stay away from people, and just
You guys sound like a vibe.
do your thing. Yeah, it's not easy because it is hard. Like, and don't get me wrong. Like Sully can vouch for this. I'm the biggest people's person. I love people. I love to high five, touch, hug people. Like I'm all about people, and like especially en route. But you've just got to focus and lock in for 7 days. Like that's why these bugs go around, because it does get like this. So you've got to just be
One of
dedicated.
Maré, he runs, I think it's called Techno Guide.
Yeah.
They do bike servicing. So they will sell packages. People, their bike gets looked after. So they finish, bike gets washed, checked, everything. But he comes with a massive setup, big staff contingent.
I think 30 mechanics.
Yeah.
30
mechanics, and I think they have almost 300 bikes. I think it's 10 bikes per guy per day.
And mechanic sick, stage 1, sent him home. Immediately. You can't risk affecting everyone else. What happens then is they, instead of clocking off at 10 at night, now the mechanics will get another bike or 2. Now it's midnight.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because we use that package with Maré and Techno Guide. We use the massage and the bike service. And like that can affect our race if he's got someone sick there touching us. So like what he does there is the right thing, but it still impacts the team or his team a lot.
But that's so that's just attention to detail, but not only for the pros, it's for amateurs.
Everybody.
Yeah,
everyone.
just to finish.
Well, I mean, I think it's higher in the amateurs than it is in because they don't realize it, and like the pros are so cleansly, and they don't really stop at the water point and touch stuff where
they don't go to rider dining.
Correct. The people that are at the back and who make this event, they're the ones who don't actually realize that it's not everyone calls it the epic bug. It's not because of epic. It's not anything they're doing. It's the people.
It's what happens when you get 3,000 people together.
Correct. On their sweating and like the amount of
Riding
gels
through
we're putting into ourselves, and your stomachs are like upset. So like it's not an epic problem. It's a known thing. Like people must just look after themselves and be better.
It's a valuable insight.
But it's also, I mean, 53% of the field South African, the rest international. I think 66 different countries.
Yeah.
So massive. A bunch of Europeans, South Americans, everything, they come to Cape Town, let me drink some tap water. We can handle it.
They can't.
They get the smallest little bug, which then evolves and comes to the race village.
Well, I mean, Nicholas Roach, for example, who Sully mentioned earlier, I don't know who the real Roach is, but we'll figure that out one day.
Mini Pinner and Mini Roach.
He was in our start shoot because he had a really good ride. But he said as well, he got here and he went to a restaurant on the night before Epic. and he's not sure if it's the tap water or what it is, but he really struggled with his stomach. And he was like, thank goodness it wasn't on the bike. On the bike, he could eat and stuff, he was fine. But every night he struggled. So it is, like, I think people don't realize that.
Welcome to Africa.
Welcome to Africa, but also just, you need to stay as clean as you can. And like, I don't drink the tap water through Epic. I drink bottled water only, just because you've got to do everything you can to not get sick. And that's why this race is so hard, and it's called the Epic for a reason, and it's untamed, because of all the elements thrown at you. You need to, it's 8 days. It's not a 3-day race. It's an 8-day race. And I don't care if I came in the top 50 because a lot of teams dropped out. I got to the finish line, and that's what counts. And I think people need to realize that. It's like, you have to get there.
Every year there's a big
you can't take Hailey and Hailey's second place away from them, even though they were 40 minutes behind the leaders. They got to the finish line.
Yeah.
The others
is
didn't.
half the struggle.
Correct. Like Greta got sick on the second last day.
And yeah, exactly. And
But
Rosa crashed, so Rosa and Vera out.
Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah, so-
And I think, you know, the higher up you are, the smallest of things can throw out that equilibrium. So, of course, with Rosa crashing, like, that's insane and hectic, and she wasn't expecting it, and it was a big disappointment, but they were having an amazing epic. I haven't seen Vera that emotional on the finish line for two different reasons.
And especially that day that she crashed, they were firing.
So that it's very difficult when it's so dramatic and it's so extreme. And as you go down the field, you know, they're already doing all the little things right. So when something happens, it's quite a big thing. They got sick, but how? How did they possibly get sick? How did Greta get a fever and not sleep overnight and try feeling, you know, starting very empty and trying to see if she could finish? Like, how does that happen? And when you go further down, when you're on the bike for longer, it's very difficult to get all the 1% correct. And from something as small as heat stroke on the first stage, that can then carry through with you. So on the Queen stage, you don't finish because you didn't put on enough sunblock. It could be the water. It could be the dust. We were talking about elites being allergic to dust. Dust is a real thing. It's,
correct.
you know, you might not have bronchitis, but you cannot breathe correctly. So you're asphyxiating yourself day after day, and now trying to go as hard as you can. Like, there are so many factors to getting to.
But it's that same concept, say, where like, on Monday, I'm eating for Friday. People forget about that. So like, you might feel good today and let's go, but I'm actually eating on Monday for Friday. And that's the consistency people forget about. Like, if you don't feel like you need that gel, don't have that gel. But you should actually have the gel. Have it, because it's not for today. You've still got 5 days or 3 days to go. Like, it's crazy.
And I wanted to say also, well done to you as Ollie's partner, because when you're the partner who's feeling flat, when you feel like you don't have legs, it's often the partner that carries you through. And you could have ridden away from him, you could have ridden to the top of the climb and stopped and waited, you could have left him, but you didn't. You were with him through that the entire time, and that's what makes a partnership so tight. And well done, because it's difficult when one feels good. You're always going to have that. If you guys are exactly the same fitness, one is always going to have a bad day, a bad few days, a bad finish. And you carried yourself so well, so professionally. Like, we would never have known that Pinna didn't have legs. And it's because you guys did it so well together.
And that's what it's about. It's a team race. It's not an individual race. So don't get me wrong, it's the hardest thing when people that you should be beating ride past you in the last 20 Ks. And it breaks your heart. But you've got to remember, you're only as strong as the weakest guy on the day. And I could be the weakest guy tomorrow. So we're together in this, and you've got to get to the finish line together. And I think that's what it's about. And I think that's something huge that I've learned from Ollie, just because he's finished 15 or now 16 epics with a partner. That's incredible.
Yes, that's huge.
Unheard of. I think for me, talking about epic, from a spectator and a route point of view, it was incredible, just simply because we had a touch on old epic, new epic, and just epic in general. I don't know how to say it, but like, we had long stages. We had 3 stages over 100 Ks, which were brutal, hard weather, everything. But then we have short stages where we saw the likes of like a Sam Gaze win, who's an XCO specialist. Like, how incredible is that? Like, and we saw the racing after 26 hours come down to seconds. So I think for me, tops and like, well done to Epic for actually giving us a route that is so diverse and gives so much opportunity for any and different teams to win on a daily basis. It was quite incredible on like the long liaison day. That's my worst day. because I'm not good on a flat road. I don't know what it is, if it's in my mind or what it is, but I just cannot ride on a gravel road full gas like some of these guys can. And Ollie also struggles with it. I don't know, maybe we're just too light. But we saw people that day that we didn't see the rest of the race. So it's amazing how that day can bring people higher in the ranks because it suits them or not. And I think that's what we saw with
That's a good race.
Exactly, and that's what you want. You don't want it to just be suited to one person. Where like last
One
year,
style of riding.
last year when it was closer to Cape Town, it was a lot more trails, and I think it was the racing suited certain teams more. Where this year, the liaison stage may let someone else win. Like look at Mark and Felix, phenomenal gravel riders.
Yeah.
They won a stage because why? They knew how to attack it and how to go for it, and it suited them, that stage, for example. But then
32-inch wheels, that's all.
correct. But then we
Good
saw
to see that for Felix.
But
That's
then we
worth
saw
mentioning.
like Sam Gaze win a stage or two because it was shorter. Like the last day, that oak was untouchable because that suits him.
They nailed it. On that route, did the ladies' concept work, would you say? I know you went in the ladies' race, but anecdotally, from what you heard, from what you saw, Sully, your view on this as well, that was the first time?
I definitely kept my ears open to lots of feedback. We had some feedback where, I mean, Bianca did quite an honest interview quite early in the stages of how she just sat there and she was like, this is for XC riders, essentially. She's like, we're going out the gun, and the route, if you start the route at the bottom of a climb, those who are good out the gate are always going to get the leeway. But there's nothing wrong with the long game. So remember, it's still 8 days for the woman. It might be slightly shorter, but an XC rider is eventually going to run out of steam if they hit every day like an XC race. So sorry.
No, sorry.
You're very excited.
Yeah, I am, because I think it's a step in the right direction.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we need to say is it's
They're trying.
correct.
Yeah.
They're trying, and it's a step in the right direction. I think it wasn't perfect, and it was never going to be perfect in the first year. My biggest thing to them is I think the women should have ridden a little bit longer because the times were still quite short. They weren't matching the men's times. They were under the men's times. So I think they would have learned now to...
You can't test that any other way.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
And I think...
Is that a general view? I don't know.
No, so that was just
that
one aspect where it was quite early in on the stages. So then from there, I was like, okay, well, let's look at the route. Like, is the route giving the same kind of demands as the other route from a time perspective, time equality perspective, and a racing standpoint? And we saw some incredible sprint finishes with 4 teams coming into the finish line sprinting together.
Yeah.
You don't always see that in the women's event.
Correct.
And for those women racing that epic, a lot of them loved it. They loved being able to see the teams right in front of you, knowing that the stage is 3.5 hours, which means we don't need to back off for the first 2 hours. We can start at a certain pace. Once we get up and over this climb, we know that it's full gas to the finish line. So strategically, the teams were able to play a lot more to the cards and their strengths that they had. From a commentator and media perspective, I also got some feedback of, it's actually quite difficult to showcase 2 races at the same time. So Max Kleur, I sat with him for a bit, and he was like, normally we have the elite men where you get all the interviews and you get the time with them, and then you send them off, and at the same time you get the women's interviews and stuff, where now it's the men's interviews. You can't quite get the whole squad because you got to shoot off now to the women's start. The women start some days because they're still figuring this out, and they're going to get this right. So I don't see it failing. This is something that's going to keep going. The first stage, I came past, and then they send the women's
I saw that in
teams
your
off.
message. Yeah.
I was like, oh, this is so weird. Like,
Yeah.
I was laughing next to some of the girls because I said, oh, wow, I feel like I'm really misplaced right now.
Yeah.
But I've also been racing for an hour and a half, and then they've just been sent off. So I was like, damn, would have been quite
But they
cool.
also started to change, adapt,
Yes.
figure out.
So we never saw them again, which means
Yeah.
they started them earlier, before us.
And like you were saying with the media, yes, now Epic has to commit more resources to make sure that these things are covered. So they're investing in it.
Yeah.
Even just if you just think about logistics and infrastructure to host a remote start, that's commissaires, timing, branding,
Banners.
everything.
Yeah.
So it's cost them a lot of money to do it. So it's not something that they just thought, oh, let's just try it.
Yeah.
You know, they're investing in it. They're going to figure it out. On the Queen stage, for the first time ever, a woman crossed the line first. That means all of the fans and spectators there get to see the women's racing firsthand. And that's also a step in the right direction.
It was history
So-
in the making.
Good.
And what's that woman, the commentator Jo from Ireland?
From Ireland, yeah.
It's really good.
So Jo's amazing. I sat with her in the ABSA hospitality tent,
Yeah.
and I mean, just side note, that ABSA hospitality tent is incredible.
Yeah, thanks, sir.
I was very, very
Yeah,
fortunate.
shot for the invite. Huh?
No, she helped us. I'm actually being genuine.
I wasn't.
Team, Alec and Kyla. Yeah.
Okay, next year. But then I need some media.
Jokes, I get a coffee.
You gotta finish then, Bolt, to get media. Come on, man. I'm joking.
Oh my god. But okay, now Jo.
Absolutely. Joe.
So I was sitting with Jo, and she was saying how she's at the start of each women's stage, and she has to work very closely with the commissaires because it could be 5 minutes to the start line, it could be 2 minutes. Oh crap, they're coming over that mountain a lot faster. Everyone line up, you've got 60 seconds until you go. And to manage the stress of the riders, the commissaires, the elite men, the A batch, her as setting everybody off, you want it to be calm and collected for the safety of the riders, because you don't want to send them off in like this high-strung, we don't know what's going on situation. But she managed to pull every female together, and I saw there were female commissaires there. Like, this is an all-women squad helping the all-women starts. And I love to see everyone just group together and go, we're gonna make this work. Everyone is open to doing it slightly differently each day until we master this. And I think that Queen's stage was particularly excellent, like is the best word, because the footage was amazing. It was raining, it was miserable at times. Like the women had to do pretty much everything hard, because it was still over 100 Ks for the women that stage too.
Yeah.
So it's monster.
Just under, I think.
No.
98, was it? Oh.
Yeah.
It was
they
a
just skipped that
monster
long
stage.
open gravel road.
Like
Which was boring.
Epic
Yeah.
kept the integrity of what Epic is in the women's racing, and that's what I loved. So they still went over Oberg. They still did all of the massive climbing.
Yeah.
I do think they need to make a 5-hour day for the women, though. That would be my one thing. It's just one 5-hour day. Like,
Yeah,
just
I guess to make it epic.
Correct.
But
And I think, but it's a learning
Yeah.
curve, and that's why I said I think it's a step in the right direction.
if
I
if
think
they
they
don't try, the epic will just stay the same forever.
Let's sum it up and see the amount of talent we had across the board.
Yeah.
We had elite men, deep talent.
Elite women, world
deep
champions,
Deepest
We had
talent.
mixed teams. I mean, say, I think when you
more world champions. We didn't even get onto that, but more world champions.
I was standing in the start chute with Nicholas Roach, who is Irish national champ. He is
Won, I think, 2 stages of Vuelta España.
correct. Yeah, he's ridden tour.
Yeah.
Like this oak's not just, he's a big name. He now commentates on the
Yes,
on
he's the voice
Grand
of
Tour. Like,
modern Tour de France.
it's crazy. And he said to me, as I Cam, like, I don't know if you know, but the top 3 teams in mixed, we had the top 2 world champions, Jenny, Simon. The guys in second, or can go on second,
What's the national title?
national Brazilian champ and age grouper world champ. Okay. And then Nicholas Roach is a current age grouper world champ with his, I think, partner who is national Spanish champ. Like, it's
Yeah,
crazy. Like,
that's
look at the
just
depth
the
of
mixed,
that.
yeah.
Like, Sarah rode in that field.
And we were sitting in fourth for a bit.
Yeah, like, but it's
Wow.
the people that are coming to this race
Yeah.
are big names. And I think
Yeah.
that's why we're seeing Epic doing good things and going in the right direction, because we're having them try stuff, innovative, try stay new, working with the correct people. There's the correct people on the team. So also well done to that. Like they're using the people, they're listening to the people, and they're growing. And I think for me, that's incredible. And it's incredible to see, because for me, standing next to Nicholas Roach in the start chute is,
Pinch yourself.
it's correct. It is. It's crazy. Like it's,
Say your closing thoughts.
Yeah.
Sully, yours.
I was going to say, me being able to bomb down the trail behind Sam Gaze, someone who I've watched on TV for years.
yeah.
You know, like, it's pretty insane. Like, I have to have this laser focus on the job at hand, but then also be like, yo, this is pretty sick. Like, watch this
take it.
guy win World Cups on TV.
Yeah.
Now I'm sitting on his wheel. Like,
That's amazing.
so
Putting him on TV.
it's,
Yeah.
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 Yeah, precisely. Yeah, it's the pinnacle, and I think as South African we should just be proud of the Epic. Yes, it's expensive, and yes, it's hard to get into, and it's tough. It breaks you. You get sick. You crash. Whatever it may be, but it's putting South Africa on the map, global stage, and it's my calendar runs Epic to Epic. It's not Jan to December. It's
Epic to Epic.
my calendar's reset now. I'm going to recover for the next day or two, and then look forward to the next one. So,
It really is the Tour de France of mountain biking.
yeah.
And I think it needs to be played. That needs to be said more, because it really is.
I mean, I look forward to building up to doing another epic, maybe in a slightly different way, maybe a slightly more patient way.
Pick me.
Chat with Hannah though. Maybe go with the last line next.
What a pleasure that would be. My closing thoughts are, it's not over. There is another epic. There is another opportunity. There are many more bike races, and everything that those who achieved that, even if they didn't quite get to the finish line, like, well done. It's a big achievement, and please come back. Please try again. We've learned something that you wouldn't have otherwise known about yourself. Use that as fuel to help build yourself back up, be a smarter version of yourself as a bike rider. Come back with a new squad, a new perspective, and just try again. It will be worth it.
Literally.
From our side, I mean, first and foremost, Cam, thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to actually be there. Active Hobo is a very new, Sully and I was saying earlier, like we're figuring who we are out all the time. We have a North Star that we're not wavering from, so we stay true to certain values, and that's telling stories because they matter. Different perspectives. We're not Sully, we're not Ray Cox, we're not Jess, we don't want to be. They're the best at what they do. We're trying to do something different, and access is not something that we just get given. We would never have been there. We would never have had the opportunity for Alec to learn, to see, and to tell the stories that we did, which I'm super flippin' proud of. Like, what we're able to put together there, it's a highlight in my entire professional career. It would never have happened were it not for you. So a very sincere thank you. I'm mind blown by what you did. I'm mind blown by what you did. Your write-ups, the sincerity with which you approach things. I don't think either of you realize how much you lead and how many people look up to you for different reasons, older, younger, whatever. You're just incredible ambassadors. Sorry, I'm not even going to get started on you because I don't have enough time. It's another hour-long podcast, but it's
all about the snow.
I have this narrative of South Africans doing great things. Aaron Borrell putting that in my head, and I'll never let it go. And here's 3 of them. Here's a whole production. This whole flippant thing is South African. I wanted to draw on this earlier, but Tom coming second, that's a South African run team at the helm.
Yeah.
It's like we're doing incredible shit, and more people are coming here. It's like, Epic's putting South Africa on the map. People are like, oh, 23 years. Yeah, that's how long it takes to build brand equity. Tour de France was not in the first 40 years this thing. It was a bunch of oaks going around, getting hammered on the route and doing all sorts of crazy shit. And it's now this pedigree thing. And Epic is actually still very young.
Yeah.
And early in its days. And what it's doing for this country, few people will understand and comprehend.
It's very true.
So I'm so proud as a South African that we won it. Male and female. Yes, not an all-female team, but like mega results from that perspective. And the production that was put on, a team of 50 people, like absolutely insane tech. The setup, the whole flippant thing is just world class. Yeah. I actually loathe that Tour de France comparison. I think in many respects it's better, more complex, and it needs to stand on its own 2 feet in many years to come. It's a great brand for it to leverage for now.
Yeah, it's definitely not a bad connotation.
Yeah, it is a good one, but we're better than the French.
Yeah, but it is great.
Tour de France is the epic of road.
Yeah.
There we go.
Let's not end on that bombshell, but I have just the most immense amount of gratitude. And there's so many people that are, people that watch this, Peter, Impact Shooting, he went and did like watching all their stories.
We could speak for hours.
Josie Butts,
so many stories.
Oh, yes.
Incredible riders. Well, it's like there's so many narratives in there, and I hope we've done justice to the epic for anyone that was there and anyone that wasn't in this very short, condensed episode. Yeah. And
you can go and watch everything on YouTube, all the highlights. It's all there. There's tons of media out there. You open Instagram now, it's still just epic, but it's all worth.
But even go and look on Active Hobo's page. There was different storytelling there to racing and epic, which is incredible. So please go and look at that too. Cool.
Good stuff on YouTube, good stuff on Instagram, short form. So.
Well done to everyone involved.
Yeah.
Every person out there slaving over media. Alec, our very own. I've said this many times. I'm sure he's tired of hearing it now. I'm not going to stop anytime soon. And a massive thanks and a massive well done, and probably my favorite breakaway we've done in a while. So
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, welcome.
Thanks
you're
for
welcome.
joining us.
Tuesday at 9. We told you.
Yeah. I'll be back for sure.
Cam will be more punctual in the future. I promise.
Better be.
I just want to say a huge thank you to everyone during the course of the last week who supported us and either mentioned Active Hobo or the Breakaway or said they want to be on the podcast. From restaurants to out on course, the whole week I had people talking about the podcast and Active Hobo. So thank you guys. Keep supporting, keep sending your comments, and yeah, if you want to be on the show, let us know.
On that note, the lead men live cameraman is a fan of the podcast. So
Yes.
shout out Doug.
Doug, come join us.
Yeah. So maybe he had the podcast in his ear whilst he was filming. You never know.
Yours nogal.
Yeah.
That's us.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
Cheers, guys.
And Sarah.